VAR is seen as the most controversial change to football since the Americans called it soccer. Video assistant referees have been getting a lot of heat recently, be it for making mistakes in key game moments, or actually, yeah, they've just been making a lot of mistakes in key game moments. So I figure it's time we look at where this all started and the impact VAR actually has on the game of football. Now, most people, and you're probably among them, believe that VAR was recently created in 2012. However, it was actually the ancient Romans who first invented this technology to ensure fairness during their gladiatorial duels. VAR, as we know it, for the Premier League, consists of a team in London who has access to 42 broadcasting cameras and are responsible for correcting mistakes the on-field ref makes during goals, penalties, red cards, and mistaken identity situations. It hasn't always been like this, though. VAR was first tested in 2012 during a friendly match between Italy and the Netherlands. It was then proposed to FIFA, but was denied by the former FIFA president, Sepp Blatter. When Sepp Blatter was forcefully removed from the presidency, his predecessor, Gianni Infantino,
Today I feel African.
loved the idea of VAR, and in 2016, the International Football Association Board approved the perfect VAR system that we use today. Okay, while it maybe wasn't perfect, they still used it in the first competitive matches during the 2017 FIFA Confederations Cup in Russia and the MLS All-Star Game in the United States. You really could say
It's in the game.
VAR had its largest breakthrough coming during the 2018 World Cup, in which there were 21 VAR reviews, with 2 goals awarded after being called offside initially. Most notably, however, VAR caught Neymar diving in the box and overturned a penalty call against Costa Rica. In England, VAR was first used during FA Cup third round game featuring Brighton and Crystal Palace in 2018. This same year, all clubs in the Premier League voted unanimously to add VAR into the 2019-2020 Premier League season after a particularly terrible offside call occurred against Southampton the following season. Football was then completely fair and we all lived happily ever after. Wrong. Well, actually, sort of. While the initial introduction of VAR led to much miscommunication between the fans, coaches, and players, and the referees, with calls being overturned for seemingly no reason, it has eventually led to a much fairer game. First off, VAR has played a major role in gifting the Premier League to Man City. Sorry, that's my Arsenal script. Hey now, you're an all-star. During the 2019-2020 EPL season, correct key match decisions rose 12% to 94%, with 109 overturned calls. Penalties awarded also rose by 12%, and 8.7% more penalties were scored, mainly due to encroachment laws being enforced. The actual matches themselves also lasted an average of 71 seconds longer, which is a pretty long time. Brighton ended up being the largest recipient of VAR this year, with 10 decisions going their way. This, however, probably didn't brighten their mood, as they did still finish in 15th. Wolves, on the other hand, only had 2 and finished 7th. VAR was consequently heavily criticized by fans of any club except Brighton for being too disruptive to the game. Brighton fans, on the other hand, thought that VAR was a fantastic invention, and that we should
let him.
The following season, all Prem teams once again unanimously voted to have VAR back, and this time, it was better than ever. The new and improved VAR came with features such as assistant referees keeping their flag down during marginal offside calls in potential goal-scoring opportunities, and increased usage of the on-field referee TV, all for the low price of £9,251 per match. That equals a large £7.6 million figure per Premier League season that uses VAR. To put this into perspective, that's 7.11% of the transfer fee Chelsea paid for Enzo Fernandez, or 72,000 Richarlison jerseys. I'm still having trouble deciding on which one is a better investment. These changes ended up favoring Burnley, who had a +4 net score, while West Brom had a -6 net score. West Brom ended up getting relegated and spent the 2021-2022 season in the Championship. Speaking of the 2021-2022 season, hey now, you're an all-star. VAR changed again. Most of the changes were pretty trivial, however one actually made a pretty big difference. That is, making the offside lines drawn thicker from 1 centimeter to 5 centimeters, thus giving the attacking players more chance of being onside. This resulted in around 20 goals that would have been offside be onside instead. They also stopped showing how the offside lines were being drawn and showing only the final product to TV viewers instead. With these new changes, the highest net score was +4 for West Ham and Liverpool, with Burnley, Norwich, and Leicester City respectively all coming out with a -6 net score. Norwich and Burnley also got relegated. I'm starting to sense a bit of a pattern here.
Hey now, you're an all-star.
This season brought us the audio recordings of what actually goes on in the VAR booth. While this was an example, there is talk of playing the live audio of referee decisions while the decision is actually being made. However, this is currently not allowed, and a rule change must occur before we see this become commonplace in the Premier League. While the season isn't over yet, Brentford and Liverpool currently have a net score of +6, while Brighton currently sit at a net score of -6, which is only marginally worse than Chelsea's goal difference this season, at -5. VAR has received a lot more hate as well due to multiple human errors made during the season, such as Brentford's tying goal against Arsenal that was deemed by officials after the game to have actually been offside and can clearly be seen in this clip. So, what if a robot could do this instead?
Hey now, you're an all-star.
Semi-automated offside technology was tested during the 2021 Arab and Club World Cups and most notably during the 2022 World Cup. It consists of another 12 cameras under the roof of a stadium to track the ball and up to 29 data points of every player on the pitch. They also have an inertial measurement unit inside the ball to know exactly when the ball is hit. This tech is able to make offside decisions in mere seconds instead of the 50 seconds that it would normally take. Surprisingly, the Italian League Serie A already implemented this technology halfway through their 2022-23 season. This tech will most likely make it to the Premier League as well, but no sooner than the upcoming 2023-24 season, which means we get to listen to live audio recordings of human refs for a little while longer.